Hello again, and welcome to another episode of Math for God. This time, we're covering a concept that I've always found very interesting in math. That concept is infinity. From this, we will talk about ways God is infinite and how it affects our lives. There are a few things that fall under this topic, so I'm going to talk about all of them. Let's get started. To start off, God is infinite. This is not hard to accept as he existed before time and continues to live on. In describing God, Psalms 102:25-27 says, "In the beginning you laid the foundations of the earth, and the heavens are the work of your hands. They will perish, but you will remain. They will all wear out like a garment. Like clothing, you will change them, and they will be discarded. But you remain the same, and your years will never end." This verse backs up the idea not only that God is infinite, but all-powerful. First, let's start off with works. Since our lives on this world are finite, we can presume that our works are finite too. We'll describe the works we do as W. People for ages now have believed that they can be saved through their works. However, this doesn't hold up to the Bible nor math. Romans 3:23 says, "For all have sinned and fall short of the glory of God." Does this hold up? It does. Say your works add up to a Googleplex. That's a lot. However, when you put it up to God, you still amount to nothing. That's because any number over infinity equals 0. Not only do you amount to nothing, but you just put yourself above God. Even if you humble yourself and go below, God is still infinitely better than any work you can ever produce. So, if our works amount to nothing, how can we be saved? That's where my next point comes in, God's grace. Ephesians 2:8-9 says, "For it is by grace you have been saved through faith, and this is not from yourself. It is the gift of God, not by works, so that no one can boast." But how do we know that God has enough grace to go around? As we know, God is infinite. Therefore, God's grace is also infinite. And there are a finite number of people, which we will say is n. We know that n will always be finite as, even though as times go on and on, populations grow and grow, it will still never reach infinity. Even in the 1,000-year reign, the number will still be finite. And afterwards, when all is over and those who are saved finally live eternity in paradise, people will stop being created. While it does not say this in the Bible, it can be assumed as there is no marriage in heaven. So, that means n is finite. Now, when we divide God's infinite grace by a finite amount of people, we see that God's grace for each individual person is infinite. Now, there's one last point I want to make. Everybody has wants and desires. However, the world is limited. Microeconomics defines this as scarcity. It would not be far-fetched to say that our wants and desires are unlimited. They are increasing at an exponential rate. We usually end up taking those infinite wants and desires and putting them before God. What do we get now? We get one. The answer to our wants and desires, and that one is my Savior, Jesus Christ. Thank you for watching Math for God. God bless. Oh, and one more thing. I know that some of you might try throwing James 2:18 at me and saying, "Well, explain this, math man." Well, I know how to explain it, but not with math. If I ever think of a way, I'll do it. But as for now, I can't. See you next time.